Hello. Welcome to the Rosin Press podcast. Here watching Dune at the 420 Castle. This week, we had on Mike from Pine Tree Apothecary. We were watching Idiocracy. I put that on for a reason. Wanted to get him going. But the funny thing was, he actually didn't go too political and crazy. A little bit more into the Patreon episode. If you guys check that out, you will see me pushing, trying to get him to talk more about the state of the cannabis industry and just, people's perception on genetics, tastes, how it's grown, things like that. But join the Patreon. You get another 30-minute podcast included with this one. And also, the 420 Kingston membership program. We run a private social club here downstairs at the 420 Kingdom. 3 Fridays a month. $50 a month. You get fed, full meals, video games, private chef, raffles, tournaments, video games. It's a good time. Get a chance to meet the podcast guests. We do these podcasts above the club downstairs, so you get to really experience meat growers, people that we have on the podcast, and get the whole, 420 Breakfast Connections experience. If you go to 420kingstown.com, put in the promo code ROSINPRESS, you get 30% off. Become a member. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. It was a great time talking with Mike and hanging out. Like I said, it was interesting where we went with it, just hanging out, watching Idiocracy, smoking, snacking. It was a great time. Enjoy. That's what she thought of when she goes up and sees it. Yeah, for sure. Supposedly, that's what most astronauts do when they see the Earth. They go up there and they're like, holy shit, all the humans are down there.
Mm-hmm. 8 billion of us.
Yeah.
Not getting along. Horrible.
Yeah. Show me what you brought.
Ooh.
Get into it.
So, brought a little white truffle.
White truffle?
Yep. Came out of the dry room today, so don't judge it on its cure.
But it's loud. I don't know. When I was growing weed, I noticed that I liked it like this more than ever. I don't know if it's just because you're growing weed and it's fresh weed and you like it, but I don't know. I mean, I always love it like this, but when you burn it, obviously it's
I think the biggest issue is consumers don't see it this soon.
Yeah.
Whether you're getting it on the black market or, the legal market, you're not seeing it. This came down, today's Friday, it came down Tuesday of last week.
So you're saying that just people don't know the education? People just don't know when it comes down or why it's this way or whatever?
No, almost the amount of time it takes to be processed. And then, if it's an adult use store, it has to go off to testing and that takes time. And then it gets packaged up into eighths and then sold to a store where it sits on their, on their shelf for
tell me about
how long.
Tell me about that process and how that works. When it comes to harvesting and dates and how do we keep bud what's its freshest point, because everyone talks about how weed is too old or stays on shelves and things like that, but I know you and me always talk about knowing your farmer and getting it actually from them.
Well, so that's what I think is so important about the medical market.
Yeah,
is it's almost like going to a farmer's market for the most part.
Yeah.
At least in Maine, caregivers can sell direct to the public as long as they have a patient card. And if we were in Maine right now and we were open, someone could come by and they could buy this from me.
Yeah, as long as they have a medical card.
Right, as long as they have a medical card. And if it wasn't ready for them, they could leave it in their jar and cure it until they want to, Whereas if they go into the adult use market store, I actually went to one some months back, but the package date was June.
Yeah.
And it was already, I want to say, middle of September. And that I've never had weed on my shelf for that long.
That's the norm, Mike.
It's insane.
It's funny.
They're missing out on so much flavor.
Yeah.
And I feel like in turn benefit, you know?
Yeah.
You're not going to get the benefit from this product once it's dry.
You know, but
Dry.
What about the Mainers that talk about that it's like a good cure if it's 2 years?
I don't know. I mean, to me, they lost it and they found it. You know,
lost what, their minds?
Yeah, there's something.
Yeah.
So then we got cereal milk, which is new to me, new to our house. And
but it's hype, right? Like, this smells gassy.
It is. A buddy of mine grows it. He put me onto it, and then meanwhile, while I'm growing it, of course, you know, the market starts saying that it's bland and it's no good. And I tried it yesterday, and I would say it's something I'm going to keep around for.
And that's
for
fresh,
a
right?
time. Oh yeah, same as white truffle.
How many strains do you usually run, like, at a time?
We do about 9 a room. That's what our goal is, to do 9 a room.
But what's the total lineup? Like, because like you have people
boy.
like you. I don't know how you guys are able to have so many different strains, and I think that's another thing that a lot of like growers, dispensaries, whatever you want to say, wherever you're getting your herb, like they'll like have Gary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll have cereal milk, or they'll have runts or whatever, and people get sick of that.
Yep.
But they don't. It's either old and it's not. People will say that it's not the one. Right. But people like you, and there's a couple other growers in Rhode Island that I know do this. They can grow so many different strains at a time, and you're always coming out with new stuff. So people get like a flavor, like enhancement from each harvest that you have, like something new. Mm-hmm. And that's something about knowing your farmers too. But tell me about that, like how you're able to do that, because it's a lot because you trust clones, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So we house probably, I won't say full size, but in 5-gallon pots, 35 mothers. Sometimes be 40, but it gets kind of tight in there. So then when we take clones from mother plants, we throw the mothers away. And our SOP on cloning is, you know, so dialed in that we'll just throw the mother away. I know they're going to root. You know, we're going to get it. It's locked.
That's crazy. For people who don't know how to grow weed, that's like the riskiest thing. I don't think I grew weed for like 4 or 5 years. I've never done anything
it's insane.
Because I know I'd lose it.
We started doing it 6 months ago, just for room issues. We had mother plants in all our bedrooms. And it got so, you know, keeping track of where they were. So now the furthest that we'll have mothers go is into our first bedroom, where there's 9 strains. So 9 of those, we need 9 mothers out of that room. Then we have 9 mothers in the cloner for the next round. And then we're taking clones now of plants in between the week we take clones, just to cut back on mothers in to get a better like variety cycle.
Yeah.
Because the thing that happens, you know, if you think about it, based on how I have been doing it, pretty much the same room's going to have the same strains in it if I don't like change it on purpose, you know?
So you're more about like having the rooms be the same. Those aren't always changing. You just have a cycle of different strains that are like a package deal almost, right?
So it has been like that. I want to change it. Moving forward, I'm going to be looking to stack the room with tons of different flavors, like a variety of flavors, from your gas to your candy strains to your GMO funk, to your cookies, runs, gelatos, those variations, just to keep people on their toes. I've had a lot of strains that I love that I put back to back sometimes, and I've
like
seen over time. So I really like the Rampage, and triple chocolate chip, and we had a couple back to back with those, and people love them. But with the variety, it doesn't sit on the shelf. When you have back to back, someone like you were saying earlier, they go into the store and they're like, "Oh, runts again," or
and
Gary
you
Payton.
can't, like, the customer doesn't lie, dude.
No,
that's like a funny thing. That, like, we were talking earlier off air about, like, Blue Dream and Headband, and, like, Piff. I love smoking those. Mm-hmm. But, like, I've tried to tell people this, too. Like, you can't go off yourself sometimes.
No. Well, because you go to a restaurant, if it's not a new restaurant, do you go back and get the thing that you had last time that you know you love, or do you venture off and try something new?
I always get the thing that I like, but I don't know.
No, but me too.
Yeah.
Now with cannabis, I've seen people are always like, "What's new? What do you have?" Like, "Oh no, I had that last time. Do you have something different?"
I think that's because it's a new market, though. And I think people don't know.
Exactly.
And that's the thing we've talked about since we even started recording right now is that, like, I think a lot of people need to know their farmers, and people say that a lot, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not, like, special to, like, know certain growers and stuff. Like, I'm not even that much of a grower. I know a little bit. But if you like it and you're enthusiastic about strains, you're a medical patient. All throughout New England, you can, recreational purchase or be a medical patient, whatever, and, like, actually get a story behind the product that you're getting. And that's why I think a lot of people are like, tell me what to get.
For sure.
You know? Yep. And, like, that's where sometimes I can get, like, I'm going to be like headband piff or whatever, but, like, sometimes, like, people smoke piff and they're going to be like, is this even weed?
Yeah.
I didn't get high.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they're like all amped
paranoid.
up on it. Yeah.
Like, what was the one? The Trop Cookies, that always happens.
Oh, yeah. No. It's amazing strain, but for me, day ruiner. You know, I have to go home early because I'll walk from one side of the room to the next and be like, why am I over here? You know? Yeah. Just too powerful. And I think that's, actually just saw, what is it, Ohio? They're trying to put a 10% THC cap on their market.
I knew that was coming. I feel like that's going to be a federal thing. Yeah.
That they're going to, it's going to be like weed cigarettes almost, where they're, you buy them by percentages, 5%, 7%.
But
10.
Can't you see the medical, like, you can't, I mean, I've been told this numerous times, and people, like, if you are a cannabis enthusiast, be a medical patient in your state no matter what, because there's a lot of safety things that can come your way with that.
Yeah.
Like, you could, the amount that you could have is more, which it should be, so you can, when the harvest comes down, a strain you like, they might not have that the next run.
Right.
Buy a lot of it and keep it. And you could drive with it, so, like, things like that could keep you safe. But also, like, I think that being a medical patient, you can learn more about the strains you're getting and get to know your farmer a little bit more than just, like, going to a rec store.
Same thing. Let's say, you go to a farm local and you buy a steak from them.
Yeah.
Or you go to the grocery store. What do you think is going to be better?
Yeah.
And once it gets over-regulated and over-controlled, and then they try to reduce the labor that goes into it, the end product's going to be junk.
Yeah.
It's really too bad. And it was like you were saying before we started recording about the Gelato 41.
Yeah.
You love it. Well, you'll have people say that it's not good. It's cardboard. And what I'm trying to do is get enough strains with my rotation to constantly have stuff that people like, and to also introduce people to strains that they've been told are bad, and be like, nope, I like this. Like, you like
that's a tough.
You like the pancakes.
That's my favorite.
Pancakes, so hard to sell.
That's the weird. I don't believe that.
Right? You're like, how? In Maine, pancakes had been overgrown.
So now tell me why. Like, give me a deeper explanation of why, because that's wild to me.
You said it earlier. That's not the one. Well, to me, and I don't like getting into discussion with this with growers and all, because they get a little, hard up about it. But it is the one. It's just you. You grew it wrong, and now the consumer thinks pancakes sucks. And so many people grew pancakes in Maine that the consumer was like, no, I don't like pancakes.
Because their growers were telling them that they shouldn't like pancakes.
To an extent, by growing it bad, and then I try to sell it to them like, oh, no, I've had pancakes, I don't like it. And I'm like, how don't you like pancakes?
Yeah, I think your thing on Instagram is always that it's like you always talk about that. You're like, you haven't tried mine, though.
Right. Cookies and cream is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
And I'll get laughed out of anywhere.
I don't like
bringing it up. Yeah.
I don't think I've smoked yours, though. I don't think I have. So that's like a sadly perfect example.
Yeah. I put a bulletin up, and I tell you, anyone who replied was like, yeah, I never had your cookies and cream, but I don't like it. Yeah. I'm like, I wouldn't lie to you, Like,
yeah.
I like the strain. So cereal milk there is another one that tried and true.
This is cereal milk too?
Yes. Yep.
This is fucking awesome.
Gary Payton.
So these are very similar, but this one seems to be a little bit more like hardy.
Yes.
Like bigger, like denser buds.
Yes. Which
one do you like more?
Ooh. I don't know. Gary Payton's been my try and true. We're actually
the high on it's incredible.
Yes.
Like the effects that I get from Gary Payton is like top tier.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's an all over body experience for me, and it makes me extremely like happy and
euphoric.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Best way to put it.
Yeah.
So permanent marker.
Okay. Isn't this RS11 though? Isn't that like the same thing? I don't know.
I honestly, dude, I have so many strains in my head that I can't recall the genetics on it.
This is the permanent marker,
but
it smells just like the RS11 that I smoked from yours.
We have to try this
because
you've got to experience the cereal milk as well.
You want me to roll it up right now?
I would love that.
Yeah. I didn't pass you the blunt because I know you're not the biggest blunt guy, but I will pass it to you.
I'll do it.
Hell yeah.
So growing this
is your pancakes.
The whole time I'm kind of like, okay, Preferred Gardens grows it. He explained, she's finicky. Yeah. The greener the bud, the better it was. He didn't lie. She was finicky the entire time. Came down, smoked her, and again, I don't know, unless that's a terpene profile that you're not just into, I don't know who's not going to like this strain.
Yeah, this comes from the sherb. Like I think a lot of this like comes from that. Gotcha. Yeah, dude. This is podcast number 1 too. Do you like what I did? I threw on Idiocracy and smoked blunts and drink coffee.
I didn't even see that.
It's very me, dude.
This movie is coming true.
Told you. I planted the seed, dude. I literally was like, I'm putting this movie on.
I think I asked you, I'm like, have you seen Idiocracy? Yeah. Gatorade everywhere.
Yeah. Like water from the toilet?
Yeah, it's electrolytes.
Yeah, you know what's funny too? Because you grow salts, right?
I do now, yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's like, but this, you can't, that's an interesting debate because this is absolute fire. I have a Rhode Island grower, and I hope he listens to this. I'm sure he will. That literally is like how you see organic growers. It's like, dude, you should be buying salts.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to hear it, but like, his bud is fire.
Yeah.
Yours is fire. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I also get living soil. I've shown you that stuff. And it's incredible, and it's like unique in its own way. Maybe I could make the debate that it does burn better, whatever that means.
Yep. So I've had living soil go both ways for me. We actually did living soil 4 years ago. Tried it out. Grew outdoors with it. Grew a couple indoors. Initially, the quality I was blown away with. We were growing BioBiz at the time, which you can say is organic as well. Having switched over to Ambrosia crops, I mean, I don't know. I'm blown away with it. I was so hesitant. Yeah. I was that. Oh, you have irrigation and you grow you pour bags of synthetic salts or whatever you want to call it into water, and your shit tastes like cardboard. And
I think everything is curing.
Okay.
Personally, when I've grown it, like, dude, Mike, you know me. I'm not like, even when you haven't seen my grows and stuff, but I'm not like I had 6 lights or whatever, and it's like I try to be there every day type of thing.
Yeah.
But I lived in the Bay Area. How I got into weed in 2012. Yep. So I was up in Humble and I trimmed and I cut plants. So before I even knew anything about weed or growing it or like even knowing strains, I cured it.
Right.
And I learned so much because back then, some people do it now, which is crazy to me, is they cure it wet. So many indoor growers in the Bay.
What do you mean cure
it
wet?
Or dry it wet. Like they would hang it wet and trim it wet. I apologize.
Oh,
like
okay,
they would trim it wet and then hang it.
Yeah.
Which is so crazy to me.
It's
so drastically different. The outdoor buds we trim was so much better.
That's like what they're doing. I remember when I first went up to Maine, my biggest thing was convincing people to stop wet trimming. Like, quit it.
When was that?
Probably around the same time.
Oh, okay.
We're talking,
I didn't know you were in Maine that long.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my family's from there, and probably I'd say, 2010, 2011.
Holy shit, dude. You're a Mainer, dude.
Growing as a company since 2015, but, we had to grow in a basement, and I meet, you go to the grocery store, you meet all these people. And
back then, the grocery store was that.
Yeah, it was. It was a hub.
Yeah.
And you would hang out there. And now they're still pretty hubby-ish.
It's just more like commerce.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, my buddy's roast store, they're closing down. They've been out corporate, you know.
Yeah, the one in Rhode Island, the local one that I use, they
Same thing.
yeah, because it's what's that company?
GrowGen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they own it.
Yeah. So I'm like, you harvest your room, and then you trim it right away. I'm like, why aren't you cleaning it and restocking it with new plants so you don't have any downtime? And they're like, oh, we just start trimming it right away. I'm like, no, dude, you're cutting terpenes off. Like,
dude, remember, have you ever trimmed wet?
I have, yeah.
So you see what happened with your hands and shit?
Oh, my goodness.
It turns it black.
Yeah.
It's wild. That's so much good shit. That's what the people in the Bay would tell me. Because my homies were doing wet trimming.
Yep.
And then I went up there, and their outdoors was better. It was like the loudest shit.
Oh, for
ever.
real? Yeah. For real. Yeah.
And it was like sour diesel and shit like that from back then.
So that's the thing, is the whole organic, living soil, synthetic. I feel like that's maybe like the conversation is 5, 6, 7 years old. But back in the day, it was, are they growing outdoors or are they indoors?
Or like that. Or was like 2014, 2015,
yeah.
People started to figure that out.
Yeah, and it's changed so much, and then the consumers behind it, where I was organic for like 7, 8 years for the sole purpose.
Back at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the sole purpose of hoping, people would realize and catch on, and maybe it would be worth more, because it costs more to grow organically. And it never
your time.
Yeah, and it never caught on. But I had somebody the other day tell me that people are asking them for living soil flower, which that's good to hear, because those guys put so much time and energy.
They get more numbers on it too.
Yeah.
It's like, who's you hand water that, right? Like it kind of goes literally hand in hand.
Yeah.
Like most of them do.
They can put like drippers on it and stuff.
But once you have problems with all that shit that's in it, it'll just gunk it up. Or salt, you could say the same thing.
So like living soil, they're building their beds. There's a not to shout out people, but they're Green Life Productions. If you go on Instagram, one of their rooms, their beds are like 38. They're 38th harvest. Which, dude, even if they're back to back, like let's say that room gets 5 harvests a year, we're talking that's going on 8 years of using the same soil, and they amend it and whatnot. But they've got.
How does that work? Please explain that a little bit, because we actually have a lot. This is like a show for our members who don't even really know anything about growing.
So you will build your soil, right? Which like you could buy ProMix. I don't know if they buy ProMix, but we bought ProMix when we did it, and we bought compost, and then we actually bought another compost, and we mixed it all together, 3 parts, and then we amended the soil. And by amended, we just planted like a cover crop on it. And when it grows,
what does that mean? What's planted a cover crop mean?
Like barley, like grass, literally. So you grow it to a certain point, and then you cut it down, and it mulches back on the soil, right? So these people that are doing it on Instagram that I was talking about, they literally have sunflowers growing in their garden, like all types of other plant life growing out of their soil, and it just keeps adding.
Yeah, my homie, that the lobster fam dude that grows that piff, he's always showing off mushrooms in there.
Yeah.
And
so he does living soil as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't even really know what it meant. And then I saw that and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
That's like, it's literally,
it's cool.
It's alive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I had fun doing it. I did.
Why would you say that you stopped?
Production wise?
Yeah, it just seems like you can't like.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to keep up. It'd be able to keep up with me.
Yeah,
and what
that's
I'm
a better
to do.
way of saying that.
Yeah. Or space too. Like the space available to really do it.
Why is that? So space?
Yeah. So
because it's beds.
Because nutrient wise, you need to have where synthetic growers will be in like 1 gallon bags of cocoa. Where the only input is the nutrients in it and keeping that cocoa wet. We use ProMix, but same idea. So the nutrients are constantly being poured in. With the living soil, you're building your soil to provide the nutrients to the plants. So you need a larger area of soil to be able to feed those plants, or they'll start fading. And that was one of our problems when we did it. We were doing it in like 30-gallon pots, building the soil, and they'd be like real strong until like week 5. And then when that plant starts, throwing on the weight on the flowers and really maturing, the leaves would start fading early. and we'd have to top dress with like organic amendments.
Yeah.
To be able to feed that soil. Where some of these living soil, no-till, whatever you want to call it, they don't do that. They're literally building their soil up over time to where it gives enough nutrients. But they're in like rolling beds. So they'll roll their beds into their room and roll them out.
Yeah.
And that's how they because I mean, obviously you can't really, you have to plant into the bed, you know?
Yeah.
Some of them, what they'll do is they'll do like 5-gallon smart pots, and they'll put them right on top of the living soil, and they'll grow down and through it. It's really cool. Yeah. I think if someone's going to grow at their house, not for profit, just for personal use.
Yeah, because that like makes it more of like a science project too.
Yeah, and if they live somewhere where there's what do they call it, leaf and grass dump, where they make compost, and the town can go pick it up for free. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you go there and you fill up 5-gallon buckets with that compost and bring it back to your house and grow in that. There's actually a place in Rhode Island. I remember I went there and
that's gotta be towards Providence, though, right?
Yeah. So you, I want to say, when you come in Rhode Island on 146, after Smithfield, right after the 295 on ramp, there's that 117. Is that what it is? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm bad with directions.
Yeah, no, me too. But anyway, I went to this farm and they had compost and they'd fill up your truck for like $100.
Yeah, I remember that back in the day when we were in California. That was like the thing. You'd find a plug for dirt.
Yeah.
And that's it. Dude, it's so commercialized now. And the funny thing is like we talked about how your buddy's store is going down and there's this local store that's going down.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's crazy. And we talk a lot too about growers finishing up too.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's, and my other buddy who I talked about earlier in Rhode Island, that was, there's a lot of strains like you do. Mm-hmm. And I want to actually talk a little bit more about that too, about the clones. And if that's really what the trust is getting a lot of clones and sourcing all those genetics. Yeah. But it's like we survive. We've survived a long time doing whatever we're doing. Like even right now, like doing this podcast, someone like me has to do that. Like you have to do creative ways. Like we're having a sesh tonight, just hanging out, like eating food and bringing people together. So you have to like stick it out. So
it's like
you were saying that earlier.
Yeah. You got to keep your head up and just keep going, never stop. I feel like back in the day, all you had to do was have weed, And there's
still people who do that.
Yeah. Yeah. But you just had to have it and then it would sell. And now it's like, it has to be perfect. It has to be this strain, that strain. It has to, hit all the benchmarks. And then on top of it, for the cultivator to stay in business, it has to yield. That's the biggest thing. And for me, living soil, I don't know if I'm going to get the grams per square foot. I know people out there that are getting pretty good gram per square foot, but doing it how I'm doing it right now, and I just switched over to irrigation, still in Pro Mix. That's my last line of why it doesn't taste like cardboard using synthetic nutrients.
This does not taste like cardboard.
No.
Yeah.
Was it
that's the permanent marker, I'm pretty sure, dude. Holy shit.
It's phenomenal.
But it does taste like the RS11, but it's better. I will tell you that. I don't know if it's because it's fresher.
Okay.
But like it is better.
All right.
This from the jump, I'm just like, holy fuck.
RS11 has like almost a limeade taste to it on the back end for me.
Yeah.
Where this is just.
Yeah, you're right. I just caught that. Yeah.
This is something special for sure. But yeah, no, it's with living soil, I don't feel like you're gonna get that back-to-back cycle where you can compete in the market. Now, if you have your diehard patients, consumers, then sure, dude, they're gonna love you forever and they're gonna wait for your product and want to put it out. This market though is just it's definitely a new frontier with how it's going. I hope it levels off and I feel bad for the people who are on their way out, but I hope eventually the price comes back up and it's good for everybody.
It might.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this too, and what was the thing that you said? Earlier you were like, we were in the snack room and you were like, just like keep going type of thing. You said something that was like,
oh yeah, you got to keep your head up and just keep going, never quit.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Keep moving. Oh, it's like the tide's coming in and you're not ready for it,
Yeah.
It's the tide's rising. It really is. And I think staying afloat is permanent marker. And Gary Payton, July 41. We just got Randy's candy from Honey Sticks, which Randy made before he passed away, and it's having these strains that people are gonna love forever. And then them knowing that you have it, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's the main thing about us, like this conversation we just had was like the variety of genetics and knowing your farmer and just like getting that story behind it. I always talk to you about that is like, you know, when those people ask what they should get from you, having a story behind it, where it comes from, what it's going to taste like, comparisons, things like that. That's what we try to do with these snacks and the content we make. But it's good to have you here, dude. We're gonna I know you're gonna have fun downstairs too with the soup and everything.
I can't wait.
And but we're actually gonna go into the Patreon episode next. So we got 30 minutes 30-minute Patreon after this, and that's gonna be more like in-depth stuff. So like you're talking about with Idiocracy, I'm gonna try to get you going.
Okay.
Because we haven't even got the real Mike that I'm telling you is like we'll get him going talking about like certain fucking rules.
One more
yeah. But right on, dude. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Thank you.